Most guys I chat to don't struggle to lose weight because they don't know that they should be in a calorie deficit. They struggle because every so often they start a diet and then they stop the diet. And one of the biggest factors of that is that one bad decision that they make with their diet turns into a few bad decisions, which then turns into a bunch of bad decisions, which then turns into them spiraling out of control and falling off their diet completely and having to restart their diet shortly after. Now, if this sounds like you, then continue watching this video because I'm going to run you through one of the systems that I use with myself and with my clients on a day-to-day basis. This is something we use constantly, all the time, every single time that we eat. And it's a system that is going to help you make smarter decisions and is going to take out a lot of the guessing. And once you take out the guessing and you make smarter decisions, then you will begin to lose weight a lot quicker. And that will give you a lot more motivation to stay on track and to keep going. And so I remember, back before I ever used this system, where I'd be on a diet, and whenever I would eat, if it was eating out, eating at the supermarket, eating at home, I would never know exactly what the right thing to eat was. But all I knew was I just need to eat healthy, and healthy to me looked like a bit of fruit, bit of veg, eggs, chicken, rice, salad, fish. This is what I thought was going to help me lose weight and put me in a calorie deficit. But eating healthy and being in a calorie deficit are two completely different things. Being in a calorie deficit is what's going to help you lose fat, but you already know that. Eating healthy doesn't guarantee that you lose fat. When I was eating healthy, I would constantly be hungry. And because I was constantly hungry, I would then end up just eating more food and not being in a calorie deficit by the end of the day. And you do that week to week, month to month, and you're obviously not going to lose weight and you're going to fall off your diet yet again. And so eating healthy is not going to be the answer. Cutting out random foods is not going to be the answer. Stop winging your meals and start using the system that I'm going to teach you in this video. I mean, I'll take it all the way back to 2019 when I first started dieting. You can see the physique that I had. It was time. I said I've had enough and I'm going to start dieting. And I was doing all right for a little bit. I was doing all right, but I was never so consistent to truly see good, long-lasting results. I mean, you could see I kept jumping from being a little bit chubby to putting on some muscle to being a bit chubby again to getting quite lean to being a bit chubby again. And it was only once I figured out this new system and rule that I'm about to teach you. It was only once I figured it out that dieting became a lot easier and I started losing a lot more weight during my dieting phases a lot faster. And it all really started to change when I started putting in some more effort into understanding actually what is it that helps us lose weight? What is it that is going to ensure that we consistently lose weight? And I say consistently because that's a huge part, because if you're not doing it consistently, then all the work that you put in, all the effort that you put in, it's all going to be a waste, because you might do it for a few weeks, but then if you can't continue after that, then you just go back to where you were before. And this is the constant battle that I had year after year. And so, as we mentioned, one of the most important things for you or for anyone who's in a deficit, who's trying to lose weight, is to be in a calorie deficit. That's an absolute no-brainer. If you're not in a calorie deficit, you will not lose weight. Now, a huge part of being in a calorie deficit and helping with a calorie deficit is the use of protein. Now, why is protein so important? When I was doing all my studying and researching about how to make diets easier and more effective, protein kept coming up for multiple different reasons. Now, first of all, protein, out of all the macronutrients, is going to keep us more full for the longest period of time. So if you have a meal and it's got 1 gram of protein in it compared to 60 grams of protein in it, but it's the same amount of calories, you're going to get more full from the meal that has more protein in it. And so when you're dieting, you want to be more full because that's going to help you stay away from foods in an hour, in 2 hours, in 3 hours, or later on in the evening when you shouldn't be eating because you've had all your calories for the day, but you're still hungry. Why? Because you didn't eat enough protein. And so protein helps with satiety levels. That's first and foremost, that's going to help massively. Second of all, out of all the macronutrients, protein is also going to actually expend the most amount of calories when being digested. As humans, we burn calories in 4 different ways. And one of the ways we burn calories is when our digestive system basically breaks down the food and sends it through our whole entire body to come out the other side. And that takes up actually a lot of calories, and protein takes up the most calories out of protein, fats, and carbs. So even though you might have 100 calories of protein, actually having a lot less, around 70 or 80 calories. And so that's another reason why protein is so important. Another reason is that when you're in a deficit and you're losing weight constantly, week after week, then you're also in a position where you can lose muscle. And none of you want that. None of you want to lose 10 kilo and for 5 of that to be muscle. You want it all to be fat. And so when you're going to the gym whilst you're on a deficit, you need to make sure that you're progressing every single week with all of your exercises. That will help you build muscle and not lose it. And also hitting a protein target. Once you hit your protein target, you will then build muscle on top of the muscle that you already have, guaranteed, especially if you're progressing with all your exercises in the gym. Now, how do you work out your protein target? You're going to get your lean mass in kilograms. So for me, I currently weigh about 72.5 kilo. I would say my lean mass is about 70 kilo. I times that by 2, and you've got 140 grams of protein. That's how much I should be eating every single day. And that will help me, like I said, burn more calories, build more muscle, and also keep me full. So now we know why protein's so important because of those 3 things. We know that although, yes, we're looking to be in a calorie deficit, we need to be hitting our protein target every single day. And that's where the 110 rule came from. The 110 rule came from the fact that every single meal I must eat protein. So for 1 gram of protein that we have, we're going to eat 10 calories. What does this look like? For example, if you have a meal which has 500 calories, you must have minimum 50 grams of protein. There's no 2 ways about it. If it doesn't hit the 110 rule, you should not be having that meal. And I'm talking specifically when you are losing fat. So if you've reached to this part of the video and you're actually not trying to lose fat, you're just trying to build muscle, yes, the 110 rule will help. But I'm talking specifically about the fact that if you have a meal or a snack and that meal or snack doesn't meet the 110 rule, doesn't pass the 110 rule, then you cannot be eating it. Because like I mentioned, it helps you keep full, it helps build muscle. It's easier to stay in a deficit because you don't get as hungry. And so anytime you go to the supermarket and you're about to cook up a meal at home, you make sure that meal hits the 110 rule. I remember I used to go to M&S all the time. I don't have one local to me at the moment, but I used to go all the time and check the sandwiches, and it would be like 20 grams of protein for 350 calories. And unfortunately, that didn't hit the 110 rule. But then you pick up a milkshake, which had 20 grams of protein for like 120 calories. That helps hit the 110 rule, so you can play around with it. But the 110 rule just makes your decisions so much easier when you're going out for dinner, or when you're cooking at home, or when you're shopping, or when you're tracking. And it just makes it so much easier for you to stay consistent on this journey. Now, when you're making your own food, you're going to be using MyFitnessPal or some tracking app in order to track the food and make sure that you're within your calorie deficit. Whilst you're doing this, you can also check if you've hit the 110 rule. Whenever I go to a supermarket and I buy myself some food to have for lunch or to have for dinner, before I even purchase it, I'll be on MyFitnessPal checking if this hits my calories and this hits the 110 rule. Once we can confirm that, we can purchase the food. Now, look, we also understand that you're going to be eating out sometimes. You meet up with mates, or you go out on the weekend, or you're human. Cool. So we're not always going to use MyFitnessPal, so we can also use ChatGPT. Before you go out to eat, make sure that you stick the menu in ChatGPT and be like, look, this is the food that I like. This is the menu this is the restaurant that I'm going to, and this is the menu. Can you help me pick something that sticks within my calories, so it's low calories, and also has 1 gram of protein for every 10 calories? Because if it doesn't, I cannot eat it. And so you just have to keep this in mind every time you eat out. Has my meal hit the 110 rule? What we don't want is a meal that gives you 1,000 calories and only 30 grams of protein. What we do want is a meal that hits 800 calories and 100 grams of protein. By then, you've surpassed the 110 rule. And that's the type of numbers that you will be hitting when you start getting used to the 110 rule and using it on a day-to-day basis. It just makes life so much easier. Every single time you have to make the decision, you simply check MyFitnessPal, you check ChatGPT, and if it hits the 110 rule, then cool, you have it. And over again, you start seeing that your weight's going down, you're actually kept quite full, this diet's a lot easier, and you're very happy. And then you consistently lose weight and see the number on the scale go down, all because of this one rule that you used. Now, I know that a huge part of why you want to lose weight is because you want a nice physique. However, that's also, as you know, just a byproduct. It's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that you become somebody who's disciplined, somebody who does what they say they're going to do, and someone who has self-trust, someone who is able to build confidence through the work that they put into their life. You want to stop restarting every single Monday or every single month. And so the way to do this is by following the 110 rule. The way to do this is by tracking all your food, making sure that you stick within your calories, stick within the 110 rule. And once you do this over and over again, you then become somebody who is disciplined. Right now, you may not be. Right now, you may be unhappy with where you're at. But if you use the 110 rule to your advantage, you will consistently lose weight and get to this lean physique that you want, and you will prove to yourself that you are actually capable of following through for the first time in your life. So that's about it, boys. The 110 rule. I know it sounds simple, but trust me when I say it's effective. I've been using it. All of my clients use it. And it's something that just makes life a lot easier and stops you from falling off yet again. If you need some more help, I'll put a link to my Calendly where you can book a call with me. We can talk about one-to-one coaching. If you have any questions, DM me on Instagram. I also speak lots and lots about the other type of systems that I use in my other YouTube videos, but also in my Instagram stories. So have a look there if you want to learn a little bit more and see what I do on a day-to-day. But take this information and it will help you massively achieve consistency at the gym and help you become that disciplined man. People think that, you just woke up disciplined, but actually no, you used a system that works. And now you have structure in your life, and that's where you want to get to. All right, boys. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Talk soon.